Aloha class, let's move on to exercise 8-17. So for this one, I will only do the direct materials variance, and then I'll leave the direct labor variance up to you. Pretty similar to direct materials variance, but we're using hours and rates instead of prices and quantities. So remember, direct materials variance, they're purchasing more than they're using in production. So remember, they're using 25,000 microns, and 5,000 microns are still in inventory. So they must have been using 20,000 in production, because 25,000 microns, you still have leftover 5,000 microns. They must have used 20,000 microns in production. And so there you know your price variance is going to be based on 25,000 microns, but your quantity variance, because they actually used 20,000 in production, right? 25,000 minus 5,000 left over equals 20,000 left over. They used in, or not left over, they've used in production, because 5,000 is left over. And so your actual quantity for your quantity variance would be 20,000. So make sure you know that key. We practiced that before, but just remember that this 6 microns per toy is going to help us find the standard quantity, 6 microns per toy, and this is our standard price, right? So per toy, we're making 3,000 toys, so I could put 3,000 right at the top of my variance, 3,000 toys. And then I've broken up my price variance to be AQ times by AP, AQ times by SP, right? And then they told me that I paid 0.48. I paid 0.48 per micron, and the standard price was 0.5 per micron. Okay, and then actual quantity, I purchased 25,000 microns, right? So this is price variance, so I should be the actual amount that I purchased over here. So when I times the 25,000 times it by what I actually paid, I paid $12,000, and then actual quantity times it by the standard price, I should have been paying 0.5 cents, right? 0.5 cents, but I came in under budget, and so maybe I negotiated a price discount, and that could be the reason. And remember, this one minus this one, if it's negative, we call that favorable, because we're coming in under budget. Maybe I negotiated price discounts or bought more than I needed, 25,000, even though I only needed 20,000, and so that could give me a price discount, and so that could be a reason for the favorable. Let's move on to the other side. So remember, we have this side of the equation, and then we move to the other side, but actual quantity will now change to 20,000 when I do a quantity variance. So remember, this number can change. This is the difference here. Standard price, we knew it was 0.5, but how do we get this standard quantity? Remember, we needed 6 microns per toy, right? So that's what the quantity they need per toy, but I'm not going to put 6 in here, because that doesn't make sense to just put 6, because I have 20,000 actual quantity. So this is 6 per toy. Remember, if I go back to my units, I'm making 3,000 toys, and so that seems a little bit more reasonable. I'm supposed to be using 18,000 microns. I really use 20,000 microns in production, and so that's not a good thing. When I do 10,000 minus the 9,000, yes, I do know that formula, this one times by that one, and this one times by this one, standard quantity times by standard price. I can see this is going to be a positive balance. This one minus this one would be positive. I've gone over budget, and so I would say 1,000 unfavorable. Unfavorable. A reason for this could be poor quality, or not poor quality, could be poor quality material, and so that the workers need to use more material, more of these, what is it, microns, or it could be poor skilled laborers that are just, they have a lot of wastage. So that could be another reason. But just remember that I've broken these up and divided it by the amount that I've purchased for price variance, and then the amount that I've used in production for the quantity variance, like we learned in class. So continue on with the direct labor variance and the final question on why these variances are the way that they are, or explanations for why they are.